I'm Kevin Antresian, and we're at Backroom Studios. Today we're going to go over the top 10 studio don'ts for musicians. Number 10, while it's great to have demos, don't come in with demoitis. Your songs are not going to be the same as they are in the demo after the record. It's part of the process. The tones are going to be different. You may have something specifically in mind. I'm sure the producer will get as close as he can. Come in with an open mind and really just don't sweat the small details. 9. Don't cancel last minute. Obviously, there's going to be extenuating circumstances where you just can't do it, but just because you had a bad day at work or got in a fight with your girlfriend doesn't mean you should cancel. Are you fucking kidding me? Whether or not you show up, the studio lights still have to go on, they still have to pay their bills, they have to pay their rent, and now, since you canceled last minute, they can't fill that time most likely, and you're screwing them over. Don't wait for things to be fixed in the mix, and don't rush the engineer. If something doesn't sound right when you're tracking, don't put it off for later. Fix it and get a good tone at the source. Getting good tones takes a lot of time, and you have to be patient during the process. For bigger productions, I tell bands the first day that we set up drums and get tones, expect to do just that. If we get any tracking done after that, that's a bonus. Keep in mind, it's important to experiment while in the studio with sounds, otherwise you're gonna sound like everybody else. Don't have a party in the control room. While it's fun to have your friends involved in the studio process, it kind of sucks for the engineer. Side conversations in the back of the room are always gonna get louder, and it's just gonna be distracting to the engineers. Don't do it.
I do so down again. Yeah, you told me to. And then he threw up. I can't hear you. There's like people are making all this noise.
Shut up! If you're gonna be using a click track for your sessions, please have the tempos mapped out before you get to the studio. There's almost no point in waiting till you get to the studio to do this. I'm sure someone in the band or a friend has a DAW that they can use. It takes maybe 20 minutes to an hour to map it out with your drummer. Just do it. It saves you hours of time in the studio. Don't be a backseat driver. Everything in the studio is all about trust. You have to trust the engineer knows what he's doing. Breathing down their neck and pointing out all these little things that they're working on isn't gonna help them, it's just gonna distract them and piss them off. Don't interrupt the tracking process to have the engineer do some weird production effect that you want. For instance, if you're doing drums, don't make the engineer put a lo-fi effect on your guitar scratch track.
Hey man, you think we could add like a phaser on the guitar track right over it? On the guitar track right over it?
I'm editing Tom's right now, and you just move the entire track. So, how about later? If a painter was painting a landscape and was working on the foreground, would you sit over him and talk about why there's no trees in there right now? Again, just trust them. You're all on the same team. They're gonna do it sooner or later. 4. Don't promote your release date until your album is actually finished. It is a big one, and it happens 50% of the time, maybe. Everyone is really excited about putting out their music, but most of the time you guys get ahead of yourselves. Unless you have a label or management breathing down your neck about a release date, or you're a touring band that needs to get it out for a cycle, it doesn't really matter. Just because you're done tracking doesn't mean that you're gonna have the material mixed and mastered in the next week. It's also not just about your schedule. You gotta keep in mind the studio has a schedule too. They probably have their clients booked for at least another month or two, so you also have to work around that. 3. Instrument maintenance, AKA don't bring in trash. This one's pretty straightforward and obvious, but it still happens constantly. Change the strings on your guitar. You're gonna want fresh ones for the tracking. Get new drum heads. So these are the drums we're using?
Yeah man, I just tuned them up.
Sounds great, right?
Make sure your bass is intonated so it's not always sharp. This also goes for vocals. Don't expect to sound amazing if you're smoking 4 packs of cigarettes and drinking alcohol all day. Source tones are everything, and there's only so much you can polish a turd. Don't come in with unrealistic expectations for your budget. This one is more common than you think. People constantly have delusions of grandeur that they're gonna come in for 3 days with $1,000 and end up with the Black Album. Unfortunately, bigger sound usually requires a bigger budget. There are exceptions to the rule, but in most cases, the time you put in directly affects what you get out of it. Like all things in life, you get what you pay for. If you come in for a live session, don't expect it to sound necessarily like a big production record. Practice your fucking parts. It sounds totally ridiculous, but I can't tell you how many times people write their lyrics in the studio. Guitar players, you need to practice together. Too often are you guys playing a note that's half step off from each other or having the harmonies wrong. It's not hard to just take an hour and practice together. Drummers, how's that left foot doing? If it's not hitting as hard as the right foot, it could be a problem. Burning time, fumbling through a guitar riff is not only embarrassing for you, it's also awkward for the engineer. Chances are, if you can't play the part by yourself at home, you're not gonna be able to play in the studio. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope the information was helpful, and I hope you're Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you're fucking dicks. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope the information was helpful and your next studio experience is a little smoother. If one of your band members is late to everything, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.